This morning, serious cracks are appearing in the official narrative coming out of Minneapolis, and they're hitting the Trump administration hard. New autopsy findings on Renee Good have arrived, and they directly contradict, and in many ways dismantle, the version of events that Trump allies have been pushing since the fatal shooting of an unarmed American citizen. The public has already seen the raw video evidence with their own eyes, a sequence that leaves little room for doubt. Now, this independent medical examination adds powerful forensic confirmation that exposes what looks like a coordinated effort to protect Jonathan Ross and hide the truth about his actions that day. Names that keep surfacing in connection with this apparent cover-up include Kristi Noem, Todd Blanche, and Pam Bondi, figures who have repeatedly stepped forward to defend or downplay what happened. The fallout is growing. At least 6 experienced U.S. attorneys have resigned in open protest, unwilling to be part of what they see as a deliberate suppression of facts. On top of that, Tracy M. Gann, a respected FBI supervisor working out of the Minneapolis field office, has also stepped down. Reports indicate she faced heavy pressure from high-level Trump administration officials to quietly close or abandon any investigation into Jonathan Ross's conduct. That kind of internal rebellion is rare and speaks volumes about how deeply this case has rattled people inside the system. In just a moment, I'll share a detailed clip from a former Department of Justice prosecutor who breaks down the autopsy results step by step in a clear, unflinching way. If you want to stay updated on developments like this, coverage that mainstream outlets often avoid or soften, please take a second to subscribe right now. It helps us keep bringing you this kind of direct, no-nonsense analysis. Let's go back to what everyone actually witnessed. Multiple angles of citizen-recorded video show the same disturbing sequence. Jonathan Ross, a federal agent, firing multiple rounds into a vehicle driven by Renee Good, an unarmed woman who, at the moment of the shots, was clearly attempting to move away from the scene. The first round came head-on through the windshield. Then 2 additional shots were fired from the side as the car continued past him. That order is critical, and the autopsy backs it up precisely: 1 frontal entry wound and 2 from a lateral angle. Almost immediately after the incident, Kristi Noem appeared in front of cameras, delivering a rapid series of statements that painted a very different picture. She claimed Renee Good had been aggressively harassing ICE agents for hours, that she had intentionally boxed in federal personnel with her vehicle, and that she ultimately used the car itself as a dangerous weapon directed at Ross. Those assertions were presented confidently and repeatedly, but the available footage simply does not support them. The recordings show no prolonged harassment, no deliberate trapping of agents, and no aggressive ramming or weaponization of the vehicle prior to the shooting. So the question becomes unavoidable. Was Kristi Noem actively participating in an effort to rewrite the events and shield those responsible? Not long after, Todd Blanche took a similar approach. Rather than launch or even promise a thorough review, he went on national television and offered this striking defense of the lack of scrutiny. He suggested that the federal agent who fired the fatal shots, Jonathan Ross, was somehow the only person not being investigated in connection with Renee Good's death. When pressed directly by a reporter, is the FBI conducting any investigation into that agent and the shooting? What can you tell us? Will the results be made public? Blanche responded with a carefully worded dodge. He pointed out that the entire incident had been seen by millions because it was captured on cell phones in real time. Then he added that the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division does not automatically open investigations every time an officer says they acted to protect their own life or faced serious danger. He framed it as standard policy. We never do. But that statement does not hold up under basic scrutiny. In reality, protocol across federal and local law enforcement almost always triggers at least a preliminary review whenever an officer discharges a firearm at a civilian, especially in a fatal encounter. Yet, in this instance, no such process appears to have been followed. Instead, the pattern has been deflection, minimization, and, in the eyes of many, outright concealment of the facts. That's why Renee Good's family took the step of commissioning a completely independent autopsy by qualified forensic pathologists outside government control. The results are now public, and they cut straight through the administration's preferred storyline. Former DOJ prosecutor Christy Greenberg has reviewed the report carefully and explains exactly why it matters so much. Let's listen to her analysis. The family released autopsy documents 3 separate bullet paths through Renee Good's body, plus 1 superficial graze wound. The first bullet struck her left forearm. While painful and serious, it did not hit arteries or bones in a way that would cause immediate death. The second entered her right breast, but passed without striking the heart, lungs, or any other immediately vital structure. Again, not a fatal injury on impact. The third and decisive wound came from the left side of her head, entering near the temple and exiting cleanly through the right side. Medical experts agree this penetrating lateral head wound was the one that caused her death. Looking closely at the trajectory and angle, Greenberg makes a key observation. This fatal shot could only have been fired from beside the driver's side window, not from the front where Ross started. It aligns with either his second or third round after he had already moved to the side of the vehicle. At the moment he fired that killing shot, Ross was no longer positioned in front of the car. He faced no credible, immediate threat of death or grave bodily injury from the moving vehicle itself. That detail changes everything under use of force law. The legal standard for excessive force requires officers to justify every single shot they fire, not just the first one, but each one individually. Even if we temporarily accept the administration's version that Renee Good initially drove toward agents in a threatening manner, one might try to argue that Ross's opening frontal shot had some basis in perceived self-defense. But the shot that actually ended her life came later, when he was safely off to the side, out of the path of any possible vehicle movement. Only a shot from that lateral position could enter the left temple and travel horizontally across the skull the way the autopsy describes. There is no reasonable way to justify that final, lethal round under established law. Renee Good was killed unlawfully and without legal cause by Jonathan Ross. In many ways, she has become both a martyr for those seeking accountability and a stark test case for the current administration. What's really being tested here is whether powerful figures in government can authorize or carry out the taking of civilian lives, then escape consequences entirely, whether they can make it normal to lie to the American people about those deaths, and whether agents can commit such acts without ever facing a courtroom or prison cell. This also puts a spotlight on Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. He now has the independent autopsy. Hours of video from multiple angles, witness statements, and mounting public pressure. So far, no state charges have been filed against Ross. Critics are starting to compare Ellison's measured, deliberate pace to the way Merrick Garland has handled high-profile federal cases, cautious to a fault, some would say. For those of us who are deeply frustrated by the slow pace of justice in Renee Good's killing, one important reminder stands out. Murder has no statute of limitations. There's no deadline after which this crime simply expires. Jonathan Ross walks free at this moment, but time is not on his side forever. The day will come when he and those who have shielded him, including Kristi Noem, Todd Blanche, and Pam Bondi, will have to answer in a court of law. I'm Poppy Harlow, reporting for Poppy Report. If this story and this kind of unfiltered reporting resonate with you, please hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Your support doesn't just help this platform grow. It's a real, tangible step toward holding powerful people accountable and pushing back against Trump, the MAGA movement, and the systems that have allowed this kind of conduct to continue for far too long. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.